Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right.
The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Best days of my life have yet to happen. That was a post made by Dedric on January the 30th, 2015, just days after his 26th birthday. Yesterday, he was shot in the face, according to police themselves, by a sheriff's deputy. He was unarmed. He was shirtless. He was in basketball shorts. It was 6:30 in the morning. He had just woken up. He's dead today. Dead. And why? It's absolutely insane. They've taken another young life away from us for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It's a sin and it's a crime. Thursday, March the 5th, 2015. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. As always, this is your host, S.M. Gibson. Usually with our show, we like to do a lot of preparation and, enough to, make me not sound like the complete fool that I am. And, I didn't have the stomach for it tonight. I didn't have the stomach to, prepare. I didn't care. My heart is broken, and it goes out to the people of Deltona, Florida right now. We're going to have a wonderful guest on in a second about a lawsuit that's going on with Fox News. And we will talk about that momentarily. But if you'll just allow me to kind of discuss the situation going on in Florida. Dedric, from all indications, he was a really good guy. I've known lots of people like him. The police were serving a warrant for him, who, by the way, we're trying to get to the bottom of the story and kind of feed through the nonsense that the media in Florida is giving people, and we're trying to get to the root of this story. What we do know for a fact is that the police say that he advanced on them. We have multiple eyewitnesses that we have spoken to, and we know that it is not true. We also know that, this was at 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning. People are just waking up. They're confused. They're disoriented. We know that Dedric was a guy that kept people, off the street from being homeless. He helped people, from all indications, he seemed like he was a cool guy, but he also seemed like he was probably a bit of a nerd. He was involved in like foam fighting, a good, safe, fun situation. They confiscated marijuana from the property. Let's just say, okay, he was selling marijuana. Okay, let's just assume Dedric was selling marijuana. Is selling a plant a reason to get shot in the face? I don't think it is. I think that this is the line that needs to be drawn in the sand. How dare the drug war take another person? Do you realize how many thousands of people have been taken, innocent lives have been taken, that are not violent people, that are not, destroying people's lives, that are not villains, and yet they get shot in the face because they sold a plant. I'm sorry, but I understand what America's supposed to be about, and that's not it. This is an absolute farce. This is a joke. If the deputy that shot Dedric in the face is not held accountable and is not reprimanded, to the full extent of which he should be, then what are we left with? What are we left with in this country? And let's not pretend that this is the first time that this has ever happened, because it's not. It's not even close to the first time something like this has happened, but this is so fresh on our minds of it happening literally in the past 48 hours. It's an absolute shame. Is it people? Is it the police? It's a combination of both, because people are police, and people want to forget that. People want to draw these divisions and draw these lines and say, well, you're this or you're that because you're this skin color, you wear this uniform, or we're all people. And it's based on the assumptions of the person. You've got a cop that was, in Iowa, multiple cops actually, they pulled over a guy and they seized $30,000 from him who had marijuana on him. He was acquitted of all charges. Acquitted, which means he was not guilty of the charges that they pulled him over for. And yet they filed a civil action against the money that they confiscated. And they took the $30,000 that he had on him. He wasn't charged with a crime, but they still took his $30,000. It's criminal what's going on out there. I mean, it's absolutely criminal. I'm just heartbroken over all this right now. I don't know what to say. I usually am not at a loss for words, but I can't get my head around where our country is at. That an innocent man, not only was he unarmed, but by all reports of the people I've spoken with, which is multiple people, he's never even shot a gun in his life. He's never even shot a gun in his life, and now he's dead by the hand of a gun. This isn't Chris Kyle, live by the gun, die by the gun. This was an innocent person. We have right now on the phone a special guest down in Florida, which is involved in Derek's situation. Brandon, talk to us and tell us what's going on down there.
Hey, how's it going, man? You guys doing all right tonight?
Man, can't complain. How you doing?
Well, in spite of recent events, I'm doing all right. So tomorrow we have planned a march in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to meet at the motor vehicle office, do a little, I guess you could say a brief. We're going to do a half-mile walk to the front door of the sheriff's office. And then once we get to the sheriff's office, we're going to lay down some demands and then have sort of like an open mic to remember Derek as best we can, and to really show the sheriff's office, you know, how this really affects the community after they.
It looks like Brandon got cut off, but we'll get him back on the line momentarily. But, you know, what Brandon was talking about was there's going to be an action tomorrow. There's going to be an action also online. Hashtag Justice for Derek Cruz. DEREKCRUICE. Kind of like Tom Cruise, except with a C. It's rare I get shaken up by these things, but this is just an absolute travesty. I don't even. How do we allow our children? Derek was an only child. He had a little dog with him and his girlfriend named Biscuit. Biscuit. What kind of a cute name is that? He helped get homeless people off the street. He played with, you know, foam fighting. So how in the world are we talking about this guy is some great villain when he wasn't? Because that's what the media down in Florida is portraying him to be right now, and he wasn't. It's crazy to me that I, with my own research and looking, there's tons of pictures of this guy, and yet the media in Florida chooses the one picture that makes him look bad and makes him look like a bad guy. He had got picked up on some marijuana charges, which were dropped, by the way, was never convicted, did not have a criminal record, and they used the mugshot as his picture. That's insane. Like, you talk about trying to demonize somebody that didn't do anything, and we're talking about he advanced on the police. Well, guess what? What's your definition of advance? The guy doesn't have a shirt. He's wearing basketball shorts. Give me a break. We are joined outside of the studio tonight for once by our usual producer who due to weather demands here in the South is not here in studio with us tonight. But Mr. Shannon Madden, how you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Gibson. How you doing this evening?
Can't complain.
Oh, I can. I've got quite a few complaints, and I think you're talking about one of them right now.
I'm just torn up over this, man. You know me, Shannon, and you know that I really, really don't actually get too emotionally involved with this. You can't doing, you know, what we do in our line of work. And this situation with Derek Cruz in Florida, man, it's really, really gotten to me.
And you know, I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for words about this myself. And again, we should kind of be, you know, a little bit desensitized to it because we report on this so much. And it I mean, but it even gets more and more senseless. Shooting a 12-year-old boy in a park with a toy gun.
They blamed it on him and his sister.
Absolutely. And now we have yet another situation, and he's already been demonized. He was selling the marijuana. We've got another hardened criminal off the streets today. It was a tragic, unfortunate situation. Yada yada, yank, whatever. You know, somebody lost their life. Somebody lost their life over over a plant, over a freaking plant. That's almost as ridiculous as a toy gun.
And you know what? I challenge everyone out there right now to go to Derek's Facebook page and just look at the comments that are coming in right now, and how many people revered him as a person, and how mild-mannered he was. And he wasn't a violent person from all inclinations. There's just, you know, if somebody shot me in the face tomorrow, I guarantee you there wouldn't be as much of an outpouring from the community as he's getting right now.
The sad thing is, too, this could have easily happened in the state where marijuana is legal, because he was operating without a permit or a license, or, you know, for selling a plant. A freaking plant.
Yeah, and this needs to be the moment.
How is that justification for murder? I can't wrap my head around that.
It's not, because here's what they tell you. Here's what they say. Well, people that smoke marijuana, and, you know, I'm not telling people to smoke marijuana. I'm not telling people not to smoke marijuana. Do what you want. But what I'm saying is I personally don't, but whatever. You know, I know many people that do. But that being said, I tell you what, Shannon, hold on 1 second. We got Brandon calling back in right now. Brandon, you there?
Hey, buddy. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, finish telling us what you were telling us about the action tomorrow.
All right. So tomorrow morning, about 7:30 a.m., we're gonna all meet for a briefing in the parking lot, right by the Hungry Howie's, and the old motor vehicle department office. We'll be given a brief, and then we're going to march about half a mile to the sheriff's department. And then once we get to the sheriff's department, we are going to, present some demands, about 3 of them, and then we will do an open mic session to have a community memorial for Dedric.
Can you tell us what those demands are, what y'all are asking for tomorrow?
I can give you a little bit of insight. I don't want to give too much detail right now, but more on the action of the police officer and the reprimand, as well as a policy change on no-knock raids, dealing with cannabis and nonviolent suspects.
Absolutely, yeah. So continue telling us about the event. So y'all are going to meet down there at 8 in the morning and present your demands and have about a half a mile march. And where is it going to take you from there?
So from there, once we talk, you know, hopefully we have an open dialogue with the sheriff. I'm hoping he comes out to talk to us. And, you know, we really want to open a community chat with the sheriff's office to really show them how this affects us, and to show them that, you know, murdering an innocent man is just uncalled for over a plant. This is, I mean, we've all seen the news lately. Everyone has seen at least 3 people a day being killed by police, and this just needs to stop.
Right, and so you're down there, you're in the community. What have people been saying about Dedric and his life? And, you know, and his legacy, I guess, that he's leaving behind. You know, he was so young. He had just turned 26 at the end of January.
Right.
You know, to you, and, you know, had he even come close to showing signs of anything that would warrant him getting shot in the face, and then the person that does it gets to walk innocent?
Now let's look at that. Getting shot in the face over a plant. This man is nonviolent. I have spoken to over, I would say, 20 people who are very close to this man, and they said he would never draw down on anybody, would not even raise his fist. He would rather walk away from something like this.
Well, I've personally spoken to many people today that were in the house when the situation transpired, and they said not only the same thing, they reiterated time and time and time again that he was not in any way, shape, or form aggressive or advancing on any officer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you say that again, Gibson?
Oh, yeah, just saying that I've spoken to people that were there at the scene when it transpired, and that he did not advance on any officer whatsoever despite police reports.
Yes, I've been told the exact same thing, that there was absolutely no reason for the show of aggression from Mr. Todd. And the fact that he is a 10-year veteran of the department shows that their training and their amplitude of tactics, being scared, really, it needs to go away and be drawn down. And they need to be trained a little better when they do a raid like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I mean, personally, from my own perspective, I know this sounds, and hopefully you'll know where I'm going with this. Like, I feel bad for the cop because now I feel he should go to prison for the rest of his life. And that should happen because he murdered someone. He murdered someone.
Well, he would have if he wasn't wearing a badge. Come on now.
But here's where I'm going with this. Is, you know what? This situation should have never happened, because we're talking about you're issuing a raid at 6 o'clock in the morning where there's people getting up, they're half awake, and they're walking to the door, and there's cops that are trained just out of fear to pull the trigger. And not only do we have Derek's life ruined because of this, we have a cop's life ruined because of this too. And people don't look at it that way. And the scary part is these cops, they get off with this. They get away with it. They don't get in trouble. You know what? He should be in trouble. He killed somebody. He murdered someone for absolutely no reason, that showed no aggression towards him. But we're talking about 2 lives completely ruined if justice is done. And both of those lives, that could have been completely prevented if we didn't have the ridiculous laws that we have in this country.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. And I totally agree with the fact that the sheriff's deputy's life is also probably going to be ruined due to the fact that he has killed somebody, and he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. The fact, that's exactly why I want the sheriff, the actual sheriff of the county, to come out tomorrow and speak about this, because, both sides need to be heard as well.
I agree with that. That's Sheriff Johnson, right?
Yes, sir.
Brandon, you there?
Yes, sir. That would be Sheriff Johnson. Yes, sir.
So y'all are encouraging him to come out and speak to the community tomorrow.
Yeah, we really want to build a community relationship back up with the sheriff's department, because we understand that they're there to protect and serve, but they need to also understand that they are there to protect and serve and not enforce bogus laws. The spirit of the law and the letter of the law are 2 different things. And when you enforce the letter of the law, you get things like what happened on the 4th.
Right. So what do you and everybody down there, and I wish I could be there with you tomorrow, but what is the end goal? Is it to raise awareness? Is it to pull Sheriff Johnson out and to make a comment? What do you think will actually transpire in the morning?
Our biggest goal will to be a policy change, as well as to bring formal charges against Mr. Todd, the sheriff deputy. I wish to see a manslaughter charge brought against him, because I understand he was under orders, but he also needed to think for himself. I mean, dude, he shot the guy in the face. That's unacceptable. I've been to Iraq. I've done those kinds of things. It's not, I didn't pull the trigger on anybody on anybody crazy like that. I've had guys walk up to me while I'm doing ECPs on a bridge, and I didn't shoot them in the face, and I was in a war zone.
So do you think that this crime and this murder happened because of a result of a lack of training?
I believe it's a lack of training and a overabundance of victimless law.
Right, and nonviolent offenders, and that's what people fail to forget in this country is we're talking about, marijuana, quote unquote, is the rhetoric we hear over and over hurts so many people. Well, it does, but there's so many more people actually hurt because of the laws, and it's just asinine to believe otherwise. If you look back at Prohibition with alcohol, there were people murdered, and the gangs rose up, and we're doing the same situation here. And this has to be the line in the sand for these laws. They have to go. We're talking about law enforcement officials shooting an innocent person in the face for having a plant. If you completely disagree with marijuana or you completely agree with marijuana, we should all agree it's not right to shoot somebody in the face for possessing it. This has to be the line. This has to be it.
Right. This is the last straw on the camel's back. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I tell you what, before we let you go, Brandon, reiterate again tomorrow's action and tell everybody what's going on one more time.
All right, so tomorrow morning, 7:30, right in front of the old motor vehicle department office, we're going to meet up, do a briefing. Then we're going to march about half a mile to the sheriff's office front doors, the main front doors of the sheriff's office, reiterate our demands, possibly hand them the paper with our demands on it. We're hoping we're going to see some news coverage out there, as protection and to get our awareness out. And then after we present our demands and whatnot, we're going to open a mic for friends and family to speak about Dedric, have a little memorial for him. We're hoping this lasts till about 11 a.m. till noon. Really, it could go on all day. We're also going to be presenting T-shirts and signs as well.
Fantastic. So everybody that's in Central Florida tomorrow, please go out to this protest. This is very important. This is, if you didn't know Dedric, this is even bigger than Dedric. This is something that all Americans should get behind. This is something that proves that the whole thing is ridiculous. But again, Brandon, thank you so much for calling in and telling us so much about what's going on tomorrow.
No problem, Gibson. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yep.
Have a good night, okay?
You too.
All right.
All right, Shannon, tell me what you think.
Let's take marijuana out of this for a second. What about a toy gun? They sell toy guns at Walmart, don't they? Those are completely legal to have and completely illegal to carry around in public.
Get shot.
Squirt water on people with them. Really, why is it okay for a member of society to suddenly wear the shiny little badge and be able to kill anybody they want to and justify it however they want to?
Oh, right. Absolutely. And here's the thing. Here's the problem with this case with Dedric is their own, okay, and this is how deep the lies go.
They broke into the man's house. They broke, and no knock warrant is essentially the police breaking into your house. Broke into his house, and they have a piece of paper from a judge that allows them the right to do that. Broke into this man's house at 6 o'clock. He gets up. He's alarmed, obviously, because he's got a bunch of people breaking into his house at 6 o'clock in the morning. And probably, and again, even if he did, well, wait a minute, even take one step toward the officer being half asleep, not knowing where he's at and what's going on. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. And I don't get it where it's okay for a police officer to look at a man unarmed, even if he takes a step toward him, for him to take a step toward him with a gun shoved in his face. Hey, man, I could shoot you. Don't move forward anymore. We're here for whatever bullshit reason we're here for.
And here's what I do know from talking to multiple witnesses on the scene. Once the shots were fired, okay, apparently police started to freak out.
Absolutely.
And they were very confused. They said that the sheriff of the county, Mr. Johnson, showed up on the scene massively quicker than he usually would be called to a scene for. He was there almost immediately, as soon as this happened. To the most damning, to me, the most damning evidence are two things. We have the first official statement out from the department saying that a SWAT team raided. It says it in the official police statement. Their press record said this. SWAT team raided. Then at 6:10 later that evening, yesterday evening, as it happens to be, they said, oh, there was not a SWAT team. The sheriff that fired the shot was a member of the SWAT team, but there was no SWAT team present. Now, they had just said hours earlier that there was a SWAT team present, and then they...
Well, first off, this is just from a casual observation. Why wouldn't there be a SWAT team if you're going to go issue a no-knock warrant? A no-knock warrant basically means that you are going to catch that person in the element of surprise, and I would assume that they would be armed to the teeth because they would assume that individual was a deadly individual to deal with.
Now,
correct? That sounds like some real effective police work, right?
Now, I'm not going to get into to too many details out of respect for my sources and the people I've spoken with today.
Understood.
But I have heard two different stories. I have heard a story that there was a knock on the door and that someone did answer the door, and they went outside and spoke with them. And then when the door was opened, which would have been by Dedric, is when he was shot out of fear. I have also heard the story that there was a battering ram put straight through the door, and they raided the house, which is what you would assume to happen for a raid at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I'm still trying to, wiggle my way around what is completely accurate and what isn't. And I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction of what happened and what didn't. The infuriating part about this is I do know that Dedric was completely unarmed. The police have admitted that. They say he advanced, but he didn't pose a threat, and they killed him. They murdered him.
And you're going to tell me that a room full of police officers that are storming in a room can't take an unarmed man that doesn't even have his pants on?
Oh,
and they have to shoot him?
Yeah.
They don't have a taser. They don't have a boot. They don't have a baton.
I mean, this is definitely, and I know, again, I do and I don't have sympathy for the officer. Like, his life is ruined, and he should go to jail tomorrow for murdering somebody.
Look,
his life is ruined too. This is a result of bad laws and bad policy in this country. And it's not fair to the American people, the people that are losing their only child, the people that are losing their boyfriend, and to the cops' defense, this is not fair to his family. A guy that's been 10 years on the force that gets scared and fires a trigger for no reason and murders an innocent person. He needs to go to jail. If it doesn't happen, then the justice system in this country is so far gone. I don't even know what to say. I don't know, still to this day, how Panatello didn't go to jail for Eric Garner. So we've been there, we've seen this. But
as many times as we tell this story, I mean, there's going to have to be a greater stand that's going to have to be made.
I'm taking that stand right here. Listen, this is it. This is the line in the sand for me. I can't do this anymore. We're talking about the most archaic, ridiculous laws in the world. People have to get over their fear of some plant. I get it. Listen, you don't have to subscribe to it to allow cops to raid your house for it. It's two different scenarios. That mentality has to go.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
And again, I mean, going back to, officer training,
Well, hold on 5 seconds, Shannon. Got a caller calling in from area code 4. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing good. What would you like to talk about?
Am I on the air right now?
Yeah, right now.
Cool. Well, I thought that if you're going to kill pot smokers, you're going to have to kill half of Florida. I thought it was already legal out there, man. Oh, well.
No.
Anyway, we can focus on these, the dogs, they send out to take our people. And, we want him to hang or something. It sounds like a Ferguson deal or whatever. But, we need to go after the judge that issues these orders, or whoever knows that a SWAT team's going out to take a guy down for maybe possession of marijuana. We need to get the judges. We need to get the district attorneys. We need to get the corporate attorneys that are running these damn cities where people think they actually have a government. That's what we need to get. We need to cut the head off of these goddamn snakes.
That's
absolutely.
The police are just as, they're just as part of the system as we are, and they get caught up in this, like you said. But you guys been there 10 years. What calls a man after 10 years of service to blast somebody in the face that's unarmed? If he was unarmed, I don't know. Like you said, we don't know what happened. But
we do know he was.
Every time we look through it,
even the police have been unarmed at this point. So he was 100% unarmed.
Well, we don't know that for sure. I don't know. You can't believe anything you hear on the goddamn media. That's why I'm anti-media,
Well, I agree with that.
If it comes out of their mouth, it's a fucking lie half the time. Excuse my language.
Fair enough. But listen, the police and the witnesses that I've spoken to, I've spoken to said Derek never fired a gun in his life. The police even said their own report, we didn't find the gun. There was no gun.
But you have the witnesses saying one bammed the door in, the other one said somebody answered the door.
That's true.
When you get down to that witness said and he said and that said, listen, we're going to see this through. But you know what I'm going after? I'm not going after that policeman. I think he's just as much a victim of this society that we're living in right now as the rest of us. And I'm going after the judges. I'm going after the corporate attorneys. I'm going after the district attorneys. I'm going after those bar association motherfuckers that are killing our country.
I mean, you make great points, and it all goes back to the laws. The laws need to be overturned.
Yes.
And the people that write those laws.
Yes, and listen, I don't know of anybody that is on pot, like Bill Hicks said. I mean, you can get into a bar with a bunch of guys drunk, and there's going to be some fights. But you put a bunch of people in a bar that smoking some pot.
I've been out in California. I've been there. Very good times. Very good times.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to call in and let you know that there's a listener out here that sympathizes what you're going through.
Well, I tell you what, very much appreciate your call. Very good point. He makes a great point, Shannon, talking about how, it is the judges, but they're just enforcing laws. And, there's so many people implicated in these crimes. And that's the thing about this officer. I repeat, the officer needs to be held accountable. It breaks my heart. 3 days ago, this officer didn't need to spend his life in prison. He should have spent his life with his family. But you know what? Now he does. Why? Why does he have to spend his life in prison? Because of a ridiculous law and a ridiculous raid that was completely nonviolent. Fear made him pull a trigger. He took a man's life. Murder is a crime. and he should.
And also, you know, and let's not dance around the point either. That the raid was conducted. If this raid was conducted in the same manner 30 years ago, a no knock warrant would probably be illegal, and there would probably already be a lawyer on you know, in his house if there was no announcement, there was no, you know, and no real probable cause. I mean, how did they even come to know that he had a few, you know, and I don't know the weight or the amount of marijuana that was actually confiscated.
Okay, you know, you're more of a student of marijuana than I am. There were, according to the county deputies, there were more than 200 grams picked up from the residents. You know,
so we're talking about 200 grams divided by 28. I mean, we're talking about what? My math's horrible right now. 8 pounds or better, close to 9 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. I'm, you know, not a mathematician myself. More of a historian.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough marijuana to kill how many people?
Now, let me ask you this. Let's just say that the laws are in place as they are, okay? And let's say from your experience, let's just say if cops showed up at your house tonight, and let's say you had these 200 grams plus on your person, and you know nobody got shot, do you think somebody would get arrested for that? Because the insane part of this entire story and the implication of guilt rest on the fact that they took the people that were inside of the house, they questioned them, for multiple hours. There was not one person in that house that was charged with a crime. There was not one person in that house that was arrested. They let them go. And there were 200 grams of marijuana in the house, and they let them all go.
Absolutely.
Because they knew what had just transpired and were terrified. And they weren't pushing the issue any further.
And you know, now this is the only silver lining that I've seen in this story thus far, is that the moment they did what they did, they freaked out the way that they did because of what's going on in Ferguson, because of all of the protests that have been going on recently. Our voices, believe it or not, our voices are slowly being heard. The trick is, though, that it's not going to be taken care of in the fashion that it needs to be taken care of. There'll be another distraction or another, you know, we'll have another heroic situation and have, you know, an officer fallen and more than likely some big national campaign about the officer so-and-so to reestablish that the police are here for good. And for the most part, in my experience in dealing with the police, for the most part, has been positive experience. However, we're talking about the police knocking down my door and, you know, confiscating marijuana. Well, in my own personal experience here at Birmingham, Alabama, they might be coming to get it to kind of pad their own pockets with it. And that's another story for another day.
Well, not only is that another story for another day, I hit on this at the top of the
I've dealt personally with corrupt cops, and I've gotten screwed by corrupt cops.
Listen,
when I was a younger man and much less informed than I am now.
Listen, there's a story right now of cops seizing $30,000 from a guy that had California plates on the back of his car.
I ran out that story, and that's one of many stories that I've seen exactly like that. Straight up stole his money.
He was acquitted of a crime. He committed no crime, and yet the state still took his money. How is that not a crime in and of itself?
Strong arm robbery. That's what it sounds like to me. I
mean, it's not. It was literally highway robbery.
Absolutely. The clear definition of it.
So, I tell you what, my heart I just I don't get involved in these stories with my emotions. I take a distance back. I report on them. I try to do my job. The situation down there in Florida, it just nails under my skin. I can't deal with this one. Hashtag justice for Daniel Cruz. I'm telling you, the world needs to wake up. This is so multi capacity here of the situation. We're talking about the drug war. We're talking about the death of an innocent person. We're talking about a cop that should go to jail for the rest of his life, and his life is ruined. We're talking about a situation. Let's say nothing. Let's talk about. Let's say this.
At the very least, we're talking about a manslaughter.
What if nothing happens to the cop? What if nothing happens to the man that shot an innocent man in the face? What are we looking at? What, you want to look in the mirror? You want to talk about Sean Hannity talking about an airplane crash and we live in the freest country in the world? Give me a break. This is insane. How dare this country say anything about freedom when you're allowed to shoot a man in the face for no reason?
It's all because you have a shiny badge.
Yep. I'm sick of it, Shannon.
From your handlers to murder innocent people. And sometimes not necessarily innocent people, but certainly people that don't deserve to be murdered.
I can't take it. I can't take it, Shannon. You may have to take over the rest of the show, man. I'm just done. I'm sick of this. So we got hashtag justice for Daniel Cruz. There's an action going on tomorrow in Florida for him. The man was murdered by a police officer for absolutely no reason. Will justice prevail? Will this officer, see anything other than a paid vacation?
Well, the state of Florida is, if their past history has anything to do with it, see George Zimmerman, who didn't even have a badge, he just had a judge that was a daddy. Probably not. Probably not going to see any time. But certainly, he followed all protocol correctly. The same statement that we see after every single one. He broke no law. He'll get paid leave to take some time off and spend some time with his family. Paid for murdering somebody.
Well, we already know
that it's a misunderstanding. That's just way, unfortunately, the way that we have to do business sometimes.
I'm going to go out here on a limb and say that Volusia County Sheriff's deputies are not following protocol when you shoot a man in the face that is unarmed and doesn't.
I think every police department in America should have that, but unfortunately, we've seen so many times that no, there is some quiet memorandum that we haven't seen, some little memo somewhere that's quietly tucked away that the public doesn't get to see that allows them to do this, and that's why it keeps happening over and over and over and over and over and over again. How many people died last year?
Oh gosh, it was way up there. And then again, there's a report out now from saying that it was double what they admitted it was.
People that died from the missiles, I would assume.
And that's the problem too. Is there's no official record of any of this stuff going on. Area code 214. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. How are you doing tonight?
Just great. I'm just calling back. On your hashtag, is it Derek or Daniel Cruz?
Derek, D-E-R-E-K Cruz, with a C at the end.
Okay. And Cruz, how do you spell that?
It is C-R-U-Z. So it's Justice for DEREK CRUICE.
CE. Okay. Yeah, that's a weird name, isn't it? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So glad he called in to reiterate that to people. Hashtag justice for Derek Crews. It's not on CNN. It's not on Fox. It's not on MSNBC. This is the biggest story in the country right now. There's no way it's not the biggest story in the country right now.
No. Harrison Ford had that plane wreck. Han Solo, Indiana Jones, remember?
Well, look. Hey, I'm not going to hate on Harrison Ford. I love me some Han Solo, and I
love me some Han Solo and some Indiana Jones too. But in the grand scope of things, thankfully he survived. He will be okay. He has all the money and all the power of Hollywood behind him to make whatever scars go away. We're talking about murder. I mean, which one is truly more important? We're talking about the more loss of our rights, of our civil rights, of our constitutional rights.
We're talking about the justice. We're talking about
we can be murdered now.
The justice system crumbling in front of your eyes. We're talking about it evaporating right in front of you. If the officer that killed him is not indicted for anything, even if it's just manslaughter, and whatever. If there's no indictment,
as long as there was some sort of criminal admission of guilt or a criminal finding of guilt, at least in one of these cases, just one of these cases. I would have thought Eric Garner was a slam dunk. We're talking about an overweight man selling loose cigarettes on the street of New York.
Exactly. What do we expect? What do we expect? Eric Garner was killed on tape, choked out on tape, and no indictment.
And then we have Tamir Rice, 12 years old, a 12-year-old boy, a baby, somebody's baby, playing out in the park like a little boy did, like I did when I was 12 years old, shooting toy guns and, just being a kid. He's out there being a kid playing with his little sister. Shot dead because he didn't follow the instructions, was given a split second to drop a toy gun. And he's over there thinking the police are playing a game with him. Dead. Murdered. You would have thought that would have been a slam dunk, huh? Now this.
No, they're blaming it on him. They're blaming it on his sister. How dare his sister? Where do we live? Is it okay, Shannon. Okay, let's take a step back. And just go, is this the Twilight Zone? Like, for real? Like, are we living in the Twilight Zone? Is this actually happening? And it's not really.
Well, and then we want to stand here and we want to cast judgment on a place like Iran, a country like Russia. We want to talk about how everybody else conducts their own affairs and how we're much more morally superior than they are. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Did anybody just hear the last 5 minutes of what I just said?
I think you just. But listen, we don't have much longer to go on the show, and this is an entire another hour's worth of conversation. But there are some nights I wish we could do 2 hours because we've got a blockbuster 2 hours. But you know what?
Just talking about just this one subject because there's so much to talk about. There's so many facets we've yet to explore.
But listen, Benjamin Netanyahu was in the United States this week, and he said that Iran's going to kill everybody because they're trying to get a bomb. Now, granted, in the defense of truth, in the defense of not being a lunatic, Benjamin Netanyahu started saying that in 1992, which was 23 years ago, and he said it was imminent. And he said it was literally next week or next month or within 2 years they're going to get it. That was 23 years ago. It still hasn't happened. Benjamin Netanyahu spoke in front of Congress after 9/11 and said, you know what? I know for a fact that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. That was part of the evidence they used to go into Iraq with, was because Netanyahu said it. They didn't have those weapons, and more importantly, Netanyahu's 90% of his campaign contributions come from the United States. What a joke!
Well, it sounded to me when he was speaking before Congress that he was making a presidential bid for the 2016 election.
I tell you what, he's got. Well, you know, he'd have more people's vote in this country than.
Oh, he outdid this. He even out Cheney on that one, man. That was beautiful. That was some good speaking right there. Very fiery and very passionate, almost damn near convincing. Had I not known about the other 23 years that he's been saying the same damn thing.
I'll tell you this, it is funny because you know what, Netanyahu, I guarantee you, would get more votes than Hillary Clinton tomorrow.
Oh, easily. Oh, come on, man. Are you serious? Fox News would be all over that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Netanyahu
beat Hillary in an election tomorrow in America, not Israel, America. But it's only because of the stories they hear on TV. And it should make people feel stupid. Who's your allegiance with? The United States of America, or is it with Israel? If it's with Israel, move to Israel.
You could do this as a family feud category. Name an Israeli politician. There would only be one answer. Everybody would say the same thing. Name one other Israeli politician.
They can't.
Right off the top of your head.
Nope.
Yeah.
It can't happen. They can't talk about the head of Mossad, and they can talk about Mossad themselves, contradicting the things that he has put out. But, you know, BB does this thing. But I tell you what, this episode has not been about BB Netanyahu. It has not been about me. It has not been about you. I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm dedicating this entire show to Derek Cruz, Deltona, Florida, # Justice for Derek Cruz. You know, I started the show with this Shannon, and January the 30th, man, on his Facebook account, he put, "The best days of my life have yet to happen." That was January the 30th, dude. We're talking, it's March the 5th right now, and he's gone. He's dead. It's over. And why? An innocent person is dead. It's a shame. It's a crime. It just makes me sick to my stomach. How dare this country sit here and get on its high horse and say marijuana should be illegal. Meanwhile, and then, you know, this is just, you know, I get people, they believe in their abortion rights, and, you know, you whatever that is, but, you know, millions and millions and millions and millions of people have died from abortion since the 70s. And yet, that's a choice. A choice. That's literally a choice to say pull the trigger and do it. That's fair enough. But we're talking about marijuana. Not a trigger. Not a trigger. Someone else pulled it for you. We'll see you tomorrow, next week.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.